Okay guys, looks like I'm live. Sorry, I'm doing this facing my kitchen this time, so bear with me here. Welcome back to another baking lesson, baking school, keto baking school. I'm Carolyn from All Day I Dream About Food. Hopefully you already know who I am and you followed me and you know that I love to bake. So I will tell you, I learned a few lessons the last time I did the live stream on YouTube. Your comments and questions disappear from the screen really quickly. So I'm going to try to do what I can at the end to answer questions and try to keep up with you. The good news is that this ends up as a regular video on YouTube. And so if you have questions, make sure to go to the regular video and leave a comment there if I missed it somehow during the question and answer period. Okay, today's subject is sweeteners and how they affect your results. Sweeteners, everybody wants to know what the perfect keto sweetener is. There isn't one. I know people hate me when I say that, but they all have their pros and cons, and we all like, here's the thing, like we all taste them differently. I get no cooling sensation from Swerve, although I do from plain erythritol, but some people get the cooling sensation really strongly and it ruins everything that they eat with Swerve. So that's fine. What you taste is important, and obviously what doesn't upset your stomach too, that's pretty important too. But the thing that you need to know whenever you make a substitution is how it's going to affect your baked goods. So to that effect, I made not one, not two, but 3 batches of cookies today. I spent my morning making Allulose cookies, which are a Dutch spice cookie. They're supposed to be really nice and crisp and browned, and they've got cardamom and cinnamon. I have an old recipe for them, but I decided to update it and make them a little better because that was from 2012, and I've learned a few things about baking since then. So let me show you. I've got 1 batch here. This was made with Swerve Brown. Let me grab my little baggie. So Swerve Brown right here, that's contestant number 1. Then I've got a second batch. I decided to do a second batch with regular Swerve. So that is contestant number 2. And contestant number 3 is made with Allulose. So this is the Good D's Allulose. This is her signature blend, which I really like. And so it is made entirely with allulose. I think the only ingredients, in her blend is allulose and monk fruit. So it's mostly allulose. So what is the difference? Well, I love Swerve, particularly when I'm trying to get a crisp cookie. When I'm trying to get something softer like ice cream, I like to use a combination of Swerve and allulose. Let me show you just how different these are. Okay, so I cut these a little smaller. I was experimenting here, so I ended up cutting them a little smaller, but this is a Swerve Brown cookie. Okay, I want to hold it close and watch me break it. It had a little snap. You probably can't hear that through this YouTube live stream, but it broke. So it is crisp. Here is the one made with Swerve Granular. So Allulose cookies, the reason I did the brown, they're normally made with brown sugar. They kind of turned out looking pretty much the same anyway. So this is the Swerve Granular. Again, breaks, snaps properly. This, whoa, is the Allulose cookie. Look, I don't even have to try to bend it, and it's bending. Watch this. You want a crisp cookie? Allulose is not gonna do it for you, I'm afraid. Now, it turned out beautiful and brown, but the other thing that it did, first of all, the minute the dough was ready, it felt softer than the other two. It felt stickier than the other two. And when I tried to roll it out, when I peeled off the top piece of parchment, it started to come with the parchment. So I had to, fix it and then roll it out again. I had trouble getting it up off the silicone mat. So that was a problem. And then when they baked, they spread. So again, you can't really tell. Like, it's floppy. See, it's floppy. Who wants a floppy cookie? You can see too that it lost its shape a little, so it spread a little, but it became a beautiful golden brown. Love the color. That's like perfect speculoos color. But not so, and I hope I'm saying speculoos right. I'm not Dutch. Hopefully if you're Dutch, you're correcting my pronunciation. So it kind of spread and became, as my husband put it, amorphous. They kind of lost their shape. They didn't hold the shape that I cut them in. So this is a problem because when you make a substitution in a recipe, so a recipe calls for swerve or it calls for Lakanto, and you're like, well, those things upset my stomach, or those things, I get the cooling sensation, and you switch to another sweetener, you're going to affect the recipe. It doesn't mean it's a bad thing, especially if you don't mind floppy, soft cookies that are supposed to be crisp, but it will affect the results. And so as long as you know that going into any substitutions you want to make, fine, no worries, but you are going to affect the texture. Now, what is allulose good for? Well, it's great for, I've actually started to use some of it in caramel, and I'm getting some really nice caramel, and I may be offering you a second caramel recipe, because the nice thing about allulose is it stays very liquid, and it gives things a softness and a gooiness, which is fabulous for a lot of things. It also is something I use, I flip back and forth between that and Boca Sweet when I do, and I didn't grab a bag of Boca Sweet, I don't know why. Anyway, when I do ice cream so that it's scoopable right out of the freezer. And I find that if I just use allulose or Boca Sweet, I end up with something that is the consistency of soft serve, and it stays so soft in the freezer, it never comes to scooping nicely. Now, other people have told me they have no problem with it, and it scoops really nicely. I like a pretty firm ice cream, but that also scoops. So it depends on your preferences there. It also makes, like, if there's anything that's going to recrystallize a little, like I love Swerve, it's my favorite. I use it all the time, but it does recrystallize quite a bit in baking. Not in baking so much, in things that have like a softer consistency. Custards, liquidy things, custards and sauces and mousses, it can tend to recrystallize and you get a little crunchiness. So you can offset it, you can combine the two, half and half, excuse me, hold on, which often works really, really well. That's what I like to do. The first time I used allulose full strength, I ended up with some tummy issues. Some people do get that. It's funny though, it wasn't Good D's brand. It was Keystone Pantry, I think. And I had to give it away because it upset my stomach so badly. I have not had trouble with Good D's, even when I use it. Well, I don't often use it full strength, but I have a couple of times and still don't seem to have any tummy issues from Good D. So I don't know what magic she did, but it works for me. I still tend to combine it with Swerve because then I'm harnessing the properties of both sweeteners. I will tell you, if you ever want to make crispy meringue, you can't use allulose, not even a tablespoon of allulose or Boca Sweet. It will become like marshmallows and you won't be able to get it up off the pan. I tried that. I tried that when I did my book, so we'll talk a little bit about the Ultimate Guide to Keto Baking. I tested these sweeteners in many, many ways. One thing I found with allulose is, as you see with this, it browned really, really nicely, but sometimes it browns too much. So I had made, I wonder if I can find it. I had made a rum cake, here it is, in the book, and I used allulose as the sweetener. See how brown the outside is? I mean, it wasn't burnt. It didn't taste burnt. It didn't smell burnt. It's not at all burnt, but the part of the cake that touched the sides of the pan, so the hot metal pan, became very dark. So that's another thing that happens with allulose. I don't think Boca Sweet does that, and Swerve certainly doesn't do that. But my book has all of this stuff in much, much, much greater detail. So I have a huge section, I think it's like 6 or 7 pages worth of all the sweeteners and all their properties. I have a shorter version of that on the blog, which I've linked to here. And I guess that's all I want to talk about. It's not so much that you can't make substitutions. It's just knowing when you go into it, what happens when you do. So if you're looking for crisp cookies, no allulose. No Boca Sweet. They will end up cakey and soft and floppy. This is a sad little cookie. Any kind of sad, look at it. Whereas then we have this. Of course, if you're looking for a softer cookie, something that's supposed to be soft baked, allulose would be perfect. So it all depends on the consistency and the texture that you're going for. Now, I want to talk about one more thing. One of the most frequent questions I get on the blog is, can I use monk fruit sweetener? Monk fruit sweetener. See this? It calls itself monk fruit sweetener. I don't know if I'll be able to show you close up enough. Let's see. What's the first ingredient and the major ingredient? Erythritol. I don't even know if that's in focus for you. What does that mean? This is only a good sub for this. They are essentially the same in terms of how they bake. This is erythritol. This is erythritol. This has a little bit of oligosaccharides to make it sweeter. This has a little bit of monk fruit to make it sweeter. You want a crisp cookie? You can use either of those. You want to replace Boca Sweet or Allulose? You can't use this because it's essentially still erythritol. So I know that that's a little thing that gets my goat because it's a marketing scam. Not a scam, I'm not saying they're trying to scam you, but it's a marketing trick. It makes you think it's something completely different and it's, oh, so better for you because it's got monk fruit in the name. Fruit, oh, it must be all good for you. Erythritol sounds like a chemical. It's not. It is a naturally occurring substance that's found in fruit and fermented foods. And monk fruit is a fruit, and it's a highly concentrated extract that they add to other sweeteners to make them taste sweeter. So that's my little, when I hear monk fruit sweetener, because a real monk fruit is like highly concentrated, like stevia. It's a powder or a liquid, and you literally add a 1/4 teaspoon to sweeten things. But it also then doesn't have bulk, which makes a difference too to the consistency of things. Have I confused you yet? If so, I'm sorry. I am going to open it up to questions. Oh, I was gonna say the other thing I found with the Swerve Brown is they browned a little more quickly because, hey, they were a little browner to begin with. The other thing is they felt softer coming out of the oven, and I thought, oh gosh, these didn't really crisp up. In the end, they did. As long as they cooled completely, even like 10 minutes in, I was like, oh, poking them, oh, they're not really crisping up. And then, 20, 30 minutes in, they totally crisped up. So they worked exactly how I expected them to, based on the science and based on how the sweeteners work. Okay, I'm going to open it up to questions, but one thing I can do is bring you a little closer. Sorry for the all weird. Okay, and put on my reading glasses and go. Yes, my book is available on Amazon, and I think I linked to it in the description of this video. Bulk, yes, I will. You can read more about bulk, but it means having like volume, whereas liquid and powder or liquid sweeteners and the really fine powders like stevia and allulose don't have bulk, and they don't contribute to the consistency of your recipe. So if you're looking for a buttercream, they're not going to give it any structure. So I hope that explains. Is it hard to convert a recipe from what? Well, depends on what we're starting with and depends on how well you know your sweeteners. Somebody said they have the Kindle version of my book. Excellent. It's just as good, I'm sure. Always question natural flavors and Swerve. Yeah, you can ask them directly and they will be honest with you what it is. And I think it's a citrus, if I remember correctly. Somebody's saying something about trivia, which seemed really interesting. Boy, you're asking a lot of questions. Recommendation for a corn syrup sub. Okay, let me run to there's also, I'm quickly getting it, liquid allulose. So that might be your best sub for corn syrup. Yes, this video posts automatically. Don't worry, you can go back and watch, and I'm trying to answer all the questions. My recipes. What's the best recipe for crispy cookies? Mine. If you like butter pecan, I have a fabulous butter pecan cookie recipe that is very crisp and delicious as long as you use an erythritol-based sweetener. The Dutch biscuits are coming. I am going to get them up in time for the holidays. I just remade them and took photos today. I made 3 batches, so, and any of you know what I'm gonna do with these guys? The soft floppy ones? They're gonna be turned into cookie butter. Take that, Trader Joe's. Okay, liquid allulose and ice cream, so good. Yes, oh, thank you. Like my glasses. It's tough in other countries where they haven't approved allulose. They will, because as far as I know, there is absolutely nothing stopping them. It is a trade situation a lot of the time. Coconut sugar is not low carb or keto, so I don't recommend it. If you're in another country and you want a soft consistency for ice cream, you can use xylitol, but there are a couple caveats there. And that is one, that it's toxic to dogs, so keep it away from dogs. And the other is that it does spike blood sugar a little bit. All of this is written out in my book too. So powdered allulose and ice cream, yep, it works. It works really well. I will turn the cookie butter. If it works, then I'll make a recipe out of it. Okay, got any more, guys? Cookie butter, another great idea. Thank you. I don't think I'm the first to make their own cookie butter, but I've always wanted to. I pass it on Trader Joe's and I'm like, oh, I want it. So let's see. Okay, no more questions are coming up right now, so I think I'll hit end. Anything that I didn't get to answer, which I really feel, I am in Portland, Oregon. I feel bad about not being able, but they move so fast, and it's really, really hard to keep up. And what brand do I recommend for almond flour? King Arthur flour or Bob's Red Mill are my two favorites. They're very fine. I did give the bakeware giveaway. I found my winner yesterday, and okay, so you're moving too fast again and I can't keep up. And so I will post this recipe and then, post this video. It will post automatically, and then I will go back and look in the comments. So if you had a question that didn't get answered, please leave me a comment and I will take my time to try to answer them all. I do my best. Sometimes I give you a link to my blog where it's already answered in detail or things like that. So have a great day. I hope this was informative. And here's the sad cookie and here's the happy cookie. Happy crisp cookie, sad floppy cookie. Yes, I anthropomorphize all my food. They all want to get eaten regardless. They all are going to taste fabulous. So, okay, let's see. How do I turn you off? I don't know. Help. Okay, I think it's this. Yes. Have a great day, guys.